So today we're going to talk about the home selling process. We're going to take a look at what that process looks like. We're going to break it down step by step, and we're going to look at some home buyer tips. Tips that are very relevant to today's day and age of 2023. And if this is the first video that you stumbled across and this is your first time to my channel, I just want to say welcome. Welcome to my channel. My name's Paul Graham. I'm a real estate agent. I'm licensed in Massachusetts. I live on the border of Massachusetts and Rhode Island, so I also got my license in Rhode Island. And then I really love Florida, so I got my license in Florida. So I'm licensed in those three states. If you have any questions, real estate wise or anything like that, feel free, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. And also, I'm so happy that you tuned in and that you're on my channel. And there's a lot of other things that you can do on this channel. I have different playlists. I do home tours. Right now, this is my education series. This is the second video in this series. And there's all different things that I have on this channel, like top places to eat, reasons to live in Massachusetts, great things about Florida. There's all kinds of stuff here. So thank you for coming to the channel. I appreciate you coming. Let's dive right into it. So step number one, meet with the real estate professional. And this is the same step number one in the home buying process. Because, you're talking about a transaction, that's thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you definitely want to have a professional, to help guide you through this process. And especially for home sellers, you really want to look at, which real estate professional you choose to work with. Experience is very important, but I would say even more than that, you want to make sure that you choose somebody that works hard and has high motivation. Because someone who's experienced but lacks motivation, they're not going to do everything that they can, to try to get your home sold for the highest dollar amount in the least amount of time possible. Because it's something you have to constantly working on, constantly marketing the home, and doing different steps like that. So, you want to find a professional when you're looking, somebody that's really engaged in their business, and you see that they're working hard and they're doing things that, take hard work to do. Those are the ones that you want to look for. So step number two is your real estate agent is going to provide you with a market analysis. And so this is where you guys get together and you guys come up with the asking price together. So, your agent is going to give you all the numbers and the statistics. They're going to look at, what's sold recently, in your neighborhood, in your area. They're going to look at what's on the market now. They're going to look at the condition of your property. They're probably going to tour your property, in the inside, the outside, just to kind of get a feel for how your property kind of stacks up versus the competing properties and the recently sold properties. And then, there can be two prices in this market analysis. Your agent could say, look, if you don't want to do any work and you just want to sell it as is, here's your price. But if you want to do a few things, which we'll get into, pretty soon in the video, then this could be your price. So, a lot of times it could be two different prices, just so you kind of know where you stand. But at the end of the day, you should always know that you, the seller, you decide the asking price. Your agent, they're just here to guide you through the process. They're here to give you all the statistics, all the numbers, but at the end of the day, it's always your decision. So some different things to look at too is they're providing you with the numbers of all the comparison properties. Those are the same numbers that the appraiser is going to use when the appraiser comes, during when you're, selling the property, you get to that stage. So the property has to sell for, within a reasonable amount of what the appraisal is. So those are some things you want to think about, when you're setting your price. Also, if you have another good agent, on the other side for the home buyer, they're going to do a market analysis before they even put an offer in. So they're going to kind of run the numbers too. So the numbers are the numbers. You can't change the numbers, so don't get too upset with your agent if it's coming in below, what you're hoping for. You can still shoot for the moon, and we'll get into that scenario, in a minute. But, because at the end of the day, you set the asking price. But also, just keep in mind that you can't change the numbers. The numbers are what they are, and they're going to kind of determine, what the property is most likely going to sell for. But you never know. It could be that buyer that falls in love with your property. One thing you want to think about when you're determining your price is, down the road, days on market. So like I said, if you shoot for the moon, but your house doesn't sell, and it just sits there, and it goes above average days on market, well, now buyers are going to start to question, what's wrong with this property? Why is this property not selling? So, that's going to give buyers at least a feeling that they can negotiate a little more, because they're going to look at your property, and they're going to think, oh, the seller might be getting anxious to sell, what's going on with this property? So they might offer you like a lower amount. So that's just something to think about, when you're deciding your price. Now, one strategy you could implement is just going a little below, what the market value is of your house. Because what this can do is the price is going to draw potential buyers in. So you're going to get more eyes quickly on your property, and then buyers are going to come in, and then what you hope to happen in this situation is that you're going to have multiple buyers that are going to be interested in your property. And so that is going to create more interest in competing offers from different buyers. And, and then if you really look out, as the buyers tour your property, maybe a couple of them start to fall in love with your property and start to really feel like this is the one. So now you're going to have those competing offers, and then, once they keep going up, before you know it, you're going to end up getting more, than what you're asking. So, that's a great situation. Obviously, there's also risk in this tactic, because, if it doesn't generate that interest, then, you ask below market value, and then you might just get, what you asked for. So, but at the end of the day, you don't have to take an offer. You don't have to sell your house, until you go through the process and sign a contract. So, that's just something to think about also. But this is the time that you want to start thinking about the game plan for marketing your property. And that brings us to step number 3. Prepare your home, for moving and for marketing. So you should plan for, at a minimum, if you can, to repaint the home, on the inside, and redoing the floors. So if you have hardwood floors, you want to make sure you clean them up, sand them down, maybe get a nice shine on them. If you have rugs, you want to do a real deep clean. Maybe you replace some rugs if they're really bad. But those two things make a huge difference. And then obviously, if you can move out of the home, that would be worth a lot of money as far as when you're marketing. Because an empty home, or when people walk through and they can envision, their belongings and their stuff, and it just opens up the space in the home. It doesn't make it look so tight. Once you start putting things in a home, I mean, you have a home probably, or wherever you live, it gets tight real fast as you start buying things and have different things in your home. So, if you can move out, redo fresh paint, redo the floors, those are 3 huge things that you could do that are going to get you thousands, tens of thousands of dollars more for the price of your home. Now, obviously, it's not ideal. You can't always move out. So if you can't move out, you want to declutter as much as possible. So you want to get as much stuff out as possible. And also, just think, you're going to be moving, so it's not that big of a deal, really, if you think about it. You're going to have to do that anyway. You're going to have to pack stuff up. The only difference is you might have to go put it in some storage. Try to get your home as decluttered as possible, as open as possible. You want to really clean your home. Hire a professional cleaning service. I mean, you're talking a few hundreds of dollars, and it's going to be worth thousands of dollars. So, make sure your home is really clean, fresh paint, new floors. Those are your 3 big things. A deep clean will also help, eliminate any potential odors in the home. You could not even really notice because you live there, but maybe there's certain odors. Maybe you have pets, there's a lot of pet lovers out there, but then there's some potential buyers that, might not love pets. So, try to cover that smell up. Ideally, it'd be great to get the pet out of the house. I know that's tough to say because it's a family member, but when you look at this from a business transaction, that's how you have to look at this whole process. You got to think of it through a business person's eyes. Not having the pet in the home because of a potential buyer, they see that a pet's been in there, they're going to start to wonder, what damage maybe the pet has caused or different things like that. So those are things you want to think about if there's a family member you can bring the pet to. Like I said, this is just ideal, perfect world. I know you probably don't want to live away from your pet, and that's okay. There's other things you can do, burn some incense and have some candles going and just try to get, some of that pet smell out when you do have showings and different things like that. Also, you want to take a look at the lighting in the home. So if you have older bulbs, think about changing them out to LED bulbs, because if you can brighten up the house, with the fresh paint and the, shiny floors, that's going to make a big difference too. You also want to look at the exterior of the home, because that's going to be the very first impression, that the potential buyer gets. as they drive into your driveway. So if you need to power wash or clean or anything like that, those are things you want to think about. Obviously, if you could do fresh paint on the outside, you know, I've seen a lot of homes that just look totally different just by throwing a coat of paint, you know, even on the outside of the home. So these are all things, you know, you got to weigh all your options. Do you want to maximize what you're going to get for the home? You know, these are some things that you might want to look at doing. It's all about marketing. This is all marketing. Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your home to show better than the competing homes. So, and it all starts online with photographs. So, you know, when someone's looking at your home versus competing homes, you know, you want them to have more interest in your home. And how are they going to do that? Well, the fresh paint, the shiny floors, the bright rooms, you know, that's what's going to set your home apart from the other homes. You know, they want to envision their personal belongings in there. You know, they don't want to see a bunch of clutter, you know, and the easier you make it for them, the easier it is for them to move in, and they see, oh, it's wide open, I can just move in. It's just a psychological, you know, thing where they're going to look at your home as being just easier, you know, when the process comes of physically moving into your home. This is where your agent can make a difference, because in 2023, social media is one of the top marketing platforms that there is. I mean, people are on their phones, they're scrolling through their phones multiple times throughout the day. You know, they're looking at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. I mean, they're on all these platforms multiple times throughout the day. So, you know, you want to get your home in front of as many of these potential buyers, or, you know, these people that know potential buyers, as possible. You want as many eyes on your property as possible. You want to cast as big a net as you can possibly cast to get as many eyes on your property as possible. The more pictures, the more video, the more information about your property, the better. Now you can do other things like, you know, door hangers, mailers, things like that, you know, that are also great tools to use. But the most modern way to do it in 2023 is to use social media. So you just want to make sure that social media is definitely part of your marketing plan and strategy to market and sell your home. And look into real estate agents who are licensed in multiple states, because they're going to have direct access that no one else is going to have unless they're licensed in those states. So they can enter your property, you know, into the out-of-state networks, and that's just going to cast, you know, a wider net and get even more eyes on your property. You never know who is looking to move. And I get into even more detail, you know, as to why having the multiple real estate licenses can help you in the sale of your home in the video that I posted, Why Florida. It's right here on this channel. It's the first segment in that video, and there's a lot more details on how the multiple licenses can help you in the sale of your home. And once your home is ready, you want to have a professional photographer, you know, photograph your home, because it's going to make such a huge difference. So definitely talk to your real estate agent about that, because not all agents use professional photographers, because in most cases the real estate agent is the one who's going to pay the fee for the professional photographer to come in. So that's definitely a question you want to ask, you know, if you're looking to sell your home, if they use professional photography, because it makes such a difference when you're looking at professional pictures versus just pictures taken on an iPhone or whatever it is, when you're looking through the listings. And that's the first impression people are going to get of your property. And that brings us to step number 4, list for sale. You know, so you've done all the prep, you have your home ready, now it's time to list it for sale. So this is where it's just marketing, 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 like we keep talking about. You know, your agent should be relentlessly marketing your property. You know, they should be contacting you weekly at a minimum, just telling you, you know, all the things that they've done in the past week, you know, to market your property, and maybe the plans for the following week. You know, you don't want to pick an agent that's just going to put it into the MLS and just forget about it. You know, you want an agent that's going to be actively, aggressively marketing your property. And also what comes with this stage is showings. So your agent should be scheduling with you an open house. And this is just to generate interest, you know, into your property. And it's usually relatively early on, you know, after your home is listed for sale. You want to generate that interest, and you want to get, you know, potential buyers into your home to take a look. But one thing, some things to notate during this stage is if you have any sports paraphernalia hanging up, you should probably take that down. because as much of a diehard as you might be, with that team, it could totally turn off a potential buyer. It sounds crazy. It's just a sports team, but it happens. And some also other things that you want to notate is you want to make sure all your valuables are locked away. Don't leave any valuables out. If you have medicine, make sure it's locked up. Any personal information, things like that. I'm not trying to scare you, when you have a stranger in your home, but you don't know who's going to come into your home. So, make sure it's safe, make sure everything's locked up. Take down things that might just give people a bad taste about your home, even though, it's just a sports thing, whatever it is. And if you still live in the home, you definitely want to have a game plan, for continuous cleaning and just keeping the home decluttered. So whether that's, divvying up among members of the home, who has what areas that they're responsible for, or you just go with the professional cleaning company that's going to come, every week or whatever it is. You just want to constantly keep up on the cleaning of the home and the decluttering of the home. So that brings us to step number 5, offers and negotiations. And this section of the video is going to be very similar, to the home buying video. But things to notate for the seller is that, when a buyer submits an offer, and you want to counter offer, just understand that that original offer that the buyer submitted, once you counter offer, that original offer is dead. It's no longer valid. So if it's just something small that you disagree with in their offer, just think about it before you just submit a counter offer. Because that buyer, when they resubmit their offer, they don't need to have the same financial terms in that new offer. So if it's something small, just think about it before you just kill that offer. Also, as I stated in the home buyer tips video, is that once you accept an offer, it is now a legal binding document. So if you decide to back out, there could be judgments made against you for specific performance or monetary damages. Now, specific performance would be a judge could rule that you need to complete the sale of your property. You need to have performance of the contract that you signed. The other thing that could happen is monetary damages. The buyer, they could claim monetary loss, for various reasons, and they could actually sue you for monetary damages. And that brings us to step number 6, under contract and escrow. So once you agree to terms on the offer, now you're going to sign the purchase and sales agreement. And this is the time that the buyer will bring the earnest money deposit. Now they're already going to submit, a binding deposit when they submit the offer, but now it's going to be the earnest money deposit. So this is going to be a deposit, that's going to be held. And, for any reason that the buyer backs out of the contract, for a reason that's not one of the contingencies that were agreed upon in the contract, then you most likely will be able to keep that earning money deposit, and that's going to help cover, any monetary losses that you had, or, loss of other potential offers from other buyers. And obviously if it goes beyond that, then you could sue him for backing out, or her, for monetary damages. And once you're in this phase, you should notate that, you cannot accept offers, even if you get a higher offer now from somebody else, you can't accept that now, because now you're under contract, with this one specific or group of buyers. Also, what's very important to sellers is that you understand what the lead paint laws are. So if your home was built before 1978, a document that's huge to have is the property transfer notification certificate. You need to disclose if if the house has lead paint in it or not. You don't have to go and de-lead the house, but you have to, disclose whether if there's lead paint or not. And there's also another form that you need to make sure that you submit to the buyer. Protect your family from lead paint in the home. And, everyone needs to sign off on this. The buyers, the sellers, the agent for the buyer, the agent for the seller. This is a document that has to be signed off on, and given to the buyer before the purchase and sales agreement is signed. Your real estate agent should have these forms and these information packets readily available. But just understand that you could be fined up to $1,000 by the state and up to $10,000 in a civil penalty. And you also could face criminal sanctions by the federal law and you may be liable for any resulting damages. So the big number to understand here is 1978. That's the year. So if you're home before 1978, you got to worry about lead paint and at least filling out these documents. And a lot of the time it's just, are you aware of lead paint in the home? You know, yes or no. So you don't have to go and de-lead your home just because it's pre-1978. That's not what these documents say. It's just a disclosure. And, you know, after 1978, you don't even have to worry about it as far as these documents go. You know, another important form that you should also know about is the seller's disclosure document. You know, and on this form, you're going to want to fill out, you know, any problems that you know about with the home. You know, you don't want to try to cover anything up or hide anything. You know, don't go digging for stuff. You don't have to go digging and find problems. But if you're aware of the problem, you know, you need to disclose that to the potential buyer. Because if you don't, and it comes up later that you potentially knew about this, you know, you could be sued and liable for damages. And once you sign the purchase and sales agreement, on the purchase and sales agreement, that's where you're going to get the closing date. So that's where the parties are going to decide, you know, a mutual date that's going to work for everybody. You know, typically 45 days, maybe 60 days later. You know, but at least you're going to know when the closing date is. You know, and that can be extended if you get to that date and certain things are going on. You know, if all the parties agree, it can get extended. But it's going to ballpark. Well, I shouldn't say ballpark. It's going to set when the closing date is. And this is where escrow begins. So escrow, 30 to 60 days. And for the seller during this time, this is the time where, you know, the contingencies are going to be met and removed. And certain things, you know, like the appraisal, things like that. So what your responsibility is if there's certain repairs that come up that you agree upon repairing, you want to make sure you get on those, you get those items repaired. You know, you want to make sure you keep up on the property. You want to make sure you mow the lawn. You know, you continue to keep the house clean and maintained, because at the end of the day, there is going to be a final walkthrough of the property, you know, and you want to make sure that, you know, the house is still in the same order, you know, as what was agreed upon with the buyer. You want to make sure that you make the home available, you know, for home inspections and, you know, all the different things of people coming into the home. Step number 7, the closing. Hey, congratulations, your big day's here. It's the closing. It's what you've been waiting for this whole process. What do you expect from this day? So, you know, expect to be there, you know, 2 hours. It might not be 2 hours, but expect to be there 2 hours. You know, expect a lot of people there. You know, there could be, you know, the attorneys from both sides or whatever attorneys are involved. Somebody from the lender, you know, for the buyer. The agents, the real estate agents for the buyer and the seller, you know, just make sure things you want to make sure you bring a valid government photo ID, because when you're signing these documents, you know, the attorney or the representative from the title company, they're going to need to know that you are who you say you are when you're signing these documents. But a lot of the time, you know, as a seller, you know, you're going to be watching the buyer sign most of the documents. So it's just going to be a lot of just waiting. There are going to be certain documents that you have to sign, but a lot of it's going to be the buyer. So, you know, once all the documents are signed, you know, then, you know, the representative from the title company or the attorney or whoever's handling the closing, you know, the closing agent aspect, they are going to go and record, you know, the deed. And once the deed's recorded with the appropriate municipality, then that's it. It's official. Give the keys to the buyer. You know, unless you specified earlier, you know, as part of the contract that you were going to stay longer than closing or whatever, you know, because maybe you're trying to secure your next home and it's not quite ready yet. But these are details you would have had to work out, you know, during the process. This just can't pop up on closing day. So just make sure you have all that figured out. But hey, that's it. You sold your home. So congratulations. You know, thank you for watching the video. You know, I hope you found it informative. You know, I hope you got a little bit of a feel for what the whole process is. And, you know, there's a lot of things that could come up. I could have made this video super, super long. You know, there's a lot of little nuances, little things that pop up during transactions, and a lot of stuff I don't want to totally recover. So if you want to see the flip side, you know, you can watch the home buyer process on that video, because I talk a little bit more into, like, the offers and negotiations, and I deep dive a little more in on that video. I just didn't want to be totally repetitive, because, you know, it's the same process. It's just from the the buyer's perspective and the seller's perspective. So it's just the whole same process. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Reach out to me if you have any questions. My phone number is going to pop up on the screen. Feel free to call me, write me a text message. I'd love to hear from you. Any questions you have, that's what I'm here for. So don't ever feel like any question is too small. Reach out. Thank you. Appreciate you watching. Hopefully you watch future videos. Continue to follow the channel. Thank you.